Hi guys, welcome to our special event call for entries webinar. It's great to have you with us. Thank you for registering. Just before we start, if I could ask you all to make sure that your mics are on mute, and I hope that you can all hear us as well. Terrible to have some technical difficulties, but I think that's part of the course for these online events. Anyway, I'm David Nothling-Demmer. I'm the editor of NZ Marketing Magazine, part of the awards team.
And I'm Michael Friedberg, so I'm convener of judges, and when I'm not doing that, I'm the head of strategic services for Swaytech.
Cool.
Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you with us. Thanks, Michael. So what brings us here today is mostly just to answer your questions around the marketing awards. We've been doing it for so many years as a team, so we're pretty familiar with how things roll each year. We realize that we do change things up from time to time, and people are new to the awards as well. So we just wanted to give a quick overview of what the awards are all about, the various categories, and then look into what makes for a great awards entry, what the judges are looking for in entries, which Michael will talk to later. Yeah, just to get your questions answered to help it be a more seamless process, I suppose, for you guys who are entering the awards to be able to enter in the correct categories at a timeliest manner. So if you've got any questions for us, you can scan the QR code up on the screen now, or visit slido.com and put in the hashtag marketing awards, and you'll be able to submit any questions, and then we'll get to that after a short 10-15 minute presentation on the awards. So the TVNZ-NZ Marketing Awards are now, I think, in their 32nd year, so they've been going for quite some time, and the aim of the awards is to mostly highlight the strategy behind marketing as a discipline specifically. So we're looking for marketing excellence that's originated here in New Zealand, that focus specifically on strategy around marketing. The awards are quite rigorous in their judging process, and Michael will tell you a bit more about that a bit later. We do invite CEOs, marketing executives from New Zealand business community, media, etc., to judge the awards. So it's quite a rigorous process over 2 rounds of judging. The awards are split into 3 categories: marketing excellence awards, which focus more specifically on the strategy around marketing, and specific marketing that recognize innovative and agile marketing. Judges are looking for examples of marketing campaigns that identify and demonstrate effective marketing strategy that has led to measurable results. The second category is marketing campaign awards, which speak to more short-term marketing initiatives over a specific 12-month or less period. And then you get the individual awards, which are the Marketer of the Year, Young Up-and-Coming Marketer, the Marketing Team of the Year, as well as the Hall of Fame. Just some key dates to lock in, to make you aware of. Obviously, the call for entries went out last month, and will remain open until the 28th of April. So another 2.5 weeks for you to enter. And then we'll extend that for another week, but a late fee is applicable after 5 p.m. on the 28th of April. Then we'll head into round 1 judging, where we'll narrow down to a group of finalists, which will be announced mid-June, and then we'll head into round 2 judging with awards night on the 6th of September.
Okay, so what does the judging process look like? It is, as David said, very rigorous, but it's also something that we take very seriously. So the first round of judges is done in 2 stages. We have the judges at home, online, look through a whole lot of the entries, and they come up with what they suggest as their finalist. And then the second stage is those group of judges get into a room and actually agree, look at the scoring, look at any outliers at the top or the bottom of the ranges, and come to an agreement of what that looks like. Lots of hot debate. I certainly earned my stripes as the convener of judges through that process, but out of it, the finalists are selected and announced on the 16th of June. Once that's done, then we run into round two, multiple days again. Judges, well, they sit around in a room here at the Marketing Association and basically agree who are the winners. That is, again, very, very, very hotly contested. Lots of really good discussion. For the individual awards, there are groups of judging either from a panel or one-on-one interviews. And again, large group of judges will give their time to work through that. It's important for you to understand that it's not done, the decisions that are worked through based on your entries, the information that you provide, and a very large group of senior judges across New Zealand. So what does a winning entry look like? I think the key word here is story. I think it's really important to remember that the judges read a lot of entries, and those that can tell a story and can have in that story the kind of key facts are going to make it easier for the judge to be able to understand exactly what you set out to achieve and how you achieved it and the results that you did achieve. I think remembering here, any story has a beginning and a middle and an end, and you need to think about that as you craft through your entry. So where do we start on the entry form? I say this every year: read the entry form, then read it again, and then I'd suggest you read it a third time, because those entry questions and criteria are very, very important, and the weightings that are assigned to those, they should indicate where you should spend your time and where the information that you provide should be documented. My suggestion here is, once you've read that 3 times, jot down your hero points, right? The bullets of what are the key pieces of information in each of those questions. Then go through, look at the weightings, and then cull out. I think once you're really clear on those hero points, what you don't want to do is surround that with a whole lot of other information that makes it difficult for the judges to pull out those kind of key pieces there. So get those hero points down, look at the weightings. If the weighting is large in some of the sections like objectives and results, then you want to make sure you've got enough content in there. You might want to add more. If there's too much, you need to pull it out. Once you're clear on those, wrap the story around it. So tell the story of whatever the criteria question is looking to answer. I think really important here, less is more. So again, you don't want to crowd those key points, but also where the judges are looking for information, say around results, then you want to make sure you're giving out that key information. So we often see large spreadsheets with lots of information. Sometimes that becomes overwhelming for the judges. They're not sure what you're trying to show. So be very clear on that. I think as marketers, one of the things I liken this to is reporting to a CEO. So if you think about how you might report on your strategy, how the outcomes of that strategy or a business case, or even the campaign results, when you're reporting to a CEO or a senior leadership team, you need to be very clear on what you were trying to do, how you got there, and the results. And this is very, very similar. So keep that in the back of your mind. And lastly, I think this is also very important. We should always get peer review. I think having your entry reviewed by a couple of people. So one person who is completely fresh to this will look at it from an objective perspective, will help you maybe with spelling and grammar, but also does this story make sense? Can they understand what you're trying to achieve and why it's a winning entry? And then have it received by someone who was on the team, because then they can look at, is it factually correct? Again, have you pulled out those key points? Is there anything that you've missed there? So once you've kind of gone through that process, then the only other point here is the results. This is a really important piece. As marketers, we are given dollars, we are given some resource to be able to drive an outcome inside our business. And so we look for business results, whether that's from a strategic perspective and overall business or at a campaign level. Must be able to really clearly communicate what those results were. And again, think about that from a CEO perspective, looking at return on investment. And again, what we're trying to do here is actually highlight the best of the work that we do as marketers for some of the great, your great companies that you support. So give it a go. What we're trying to do is the purpose of this session is to create a little bit of transparency, give you some direction. But also for those of you that are first time thinking about submitting an entry, then you've got an opportunity now to ask some questions, because I could probably go on talking for a while. There's a lot of information in my head and David's head, and as he said at the beginning, we've been doing this for a while now. So what we want to do is give you the chance to understand, answer any questions, get in there, give it a go, have some fun, and have the opportunity to highlight some of the awesome work that we do as marketers.
Yeah, so if you've got any questions, remember the slido.com hashtag marketing awards, where you can simply scan that QR code and it will direct you to the Slido page where we can answer some of your questions. One did pop up earlier, Michael, and I think you pretty much answered it before they asked what makes for a standout awards entry. And I suppose maybe just to flip that on its head is, seeing as you have answered it already, you've been doing this since 2018. So you've come across a fair share of entry forms. What would make for a less desirable entry form, something that doesn't necessarily stand out to want to make it to the next round of judging?
Yeah, great question. I think there are 2 points in that. As a judge, spelling mistakes, really bad grammatical errors, it's glaring, and when you're reading a large number, that just speaks to quality. So that would be the first point in there. The second point that I think stands out is it's great to have an agency on board to support the creating, the entry form. However, an agency, a beautifully well-crafted agency response, it sometimes lacks a little bit of soul, and it is just beautifully crafted. So trying to find that balance in there of as the client, the sweat, blood, and tears and the passion that we put into that work, that often needs to come through in those entry forms and that the criteria. If it doesn't come through, it can become a little bit wishy-washy. So those would be the 2 things that I think stand out for me.
Cool. Another one that's coming just around qualification period. We've been chatting in the office today about the TVNZ-NZ Marketing Awards, as we have a campaign running at the moment that is performing really well. It won't be completed by the time entries close, but we're wondering whether or not our campaign, which is due to finish mid-June, will be eligible for next year's awards. Anything on that?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We'll be eligible for next year's awards. It's a shame it didn't make this year's awards, but by then you will have the results. And so definitely.
Right. There's another one that's come through. Do you need to enter the Excellence Awards to enter the marketing campaign section?
No, you don't. Completely separate awards. So it can be linked. The Excellence Awards, as David said, is about strategy. So end-to-end strategy that takes in some sort of business response, the strategy and how the marketing team address that. And the Campaign Awards is is a campaign, a shorter term initiative to drive outcomes.
Yeah.
Again, they can be linked, but no.
Yeah. Judges do, I think, like to see some kind of link to overarching marketing strategy and the short-term campaign, but they don't need to be linked or entered into the Excellence Awards to enter the Campaign Awards.
And the last thing on that, if you are going to enter both, don't enter the same entry form.
Yes.
You need to change that up. The judges can see that, and it feels a little bit lazy, to be honest.
Yes.
So yeah, make sure that any category you enter has its specific information.
Another one that's come through is, can you explain the NZ part of the entry requirements? So I think just from my side, it's marketing and marketing strategy that has originated here in New Zealand. It can be used in other markets globally, but generally it needs to be, so if your head office is based here in New Zealand, for instance, all your marketing is done here, but it is activated, let's say, in Australia, that's completely fine.
Yeah, that's correct. It's for New Zealand-based organizations.
Cool. How do you handle confidential information and conflict of interest? So on the awards portal, there is an option for you to bold, embolden, or star out specific information that is confidential. And obviously this will stay with the judging panel, and it won't be published because obviously all the awards finalists or winners, sorry, are published in Marketing Mag, but those bits will not be published.
The judges also sign a confidentiality agreement. I started judging session, reminding them of that requirement. And we, from a conflict of interest perspective, Marlena does a very good job of assigning judges into judging categories where she cannot see a conflict of interest. If there is one, judges will often put their hand up and they are recused from that or step out of the room during that process. No judge wants to be pulled that into question. So again, that's managed very tightly by Marlena.
Another one that's come through from Lisa. Hi, Lisa. We'd like to enter the NZ brand refresh delivered by the District Council team. Which category would you suggest we enter?
From memory, Marlena, there is a brand transformation category that feels like that would be the right place to enter that one.
Yeah.
Because it is a brand refresh.
Yeah, I would think it would probably sit best in that.
Yeah.
We're talking about the strategy behind the brand refresh, and then I think there's a short-term initiative around.
Yeah, there are 18 and 9 categories, so 27 in total. But I think, there is a short-term campaign brand one, but I think from a transformation perspective, it sounds like that would sit in the excellence. Yep. Yeah, great. But Marlena, if you have any other questions, you could send a few more details through, and Marlena would be happy to advise on that.
Yep. Another one that's come through is what is the date for the cutoff of the up-and-coming marketer of the year in terms of 2 years marketing experience? Is it from April 2023?
Yes. So it's 2 years marketing experience.
Yes. And 3 business years experience as well.
Yeah.
So that's
prior to this year.
Prior to this year.
Yes.
Yes.
So we've had examples where an intern has been in a product development or a role that is not marketing for a couple of years before they moved into a marketing role and entered in this category. That's absolutely fine. We often qualify back to the organization that they weren't completing marketing type tasks specifically in that business role. As long as they can prove that and the company can support that, then that's fine.
Well, another one that's come in is what type of entries go into the campaign awards, i.e., do you have an example of one?
So I think I spoke to this. There's on the marketing awards website?
On the marketing awards website there is one. We'll pull this out again after the presentation, and we'll send it through to you where Michael spoke to it briefly last year on a video.
I'll give a quick overview.
Yeah.
So my background's B2B, so I called out a B2B example, but a situation where an organization was doing a sales review. There was a couple of sales deals that were won. The marketer in the room thought, actually, these clients, the way that we solved this client problem seemed quite unique, and we did a great job. They took the salesperson, they spun up a campaign to go out and find more customers who met that customer profile with a similar sort of marketing offer. The campaign was very successful. There were a couple of channels that didn't work during the campaign. They tweaked that. The outcome was that there was an X amount of new pipeline and one revenue generated off the back of the campaign. And the creme de la creme example was that campaign then became a regular type of marketing activity because of its success. So it spun out of an opportunistic finding across the business. It was a specific campaign that ran for a specific period of time with documented outcomes. The campaign identified some channels that worked and didn't work, and the marketing manager was able to show that and show the adjustment of spend to drive a great outcome, and then the campaign was repeated. So I hope that answers your question.
One that's come in, for the marketing team of the year, you mentioned that only 3 people can be singled out. Is there wiggle room on this, as we'd like to include more people, please.
Is that on the judging day?
I assume that's for the judging day that you're talking about. Unfortunately not. It's just logistically for us to manage that many people coming in when we're judging maybe 5, 6 different marketing teams. It just makes for a lengthier judging process. And obviously our judges give up their time for free, so we don't want to take advantage of them. Yeah. So unfortunately, 3 is the maximum that we're at.
You have a 20-minute presentation. You could include a video as part of that presentation with some other people in that if you so choose. So that would be one avenue.
Another one that's coming, we have a new brand which is derived of an existing house of brands, but this fall under new brand category.
So it's a new brand as part of a house of brands. This is a retail brand. So is it a new brand, not an extension? Yes, that would.
I would say yes. Short answer, yes.
Yes. Without knowing any further details, but yes.
Yes. Are the campaign awards the same as the short-term marketing initiative awards from last year? Yes, sorry. I probably should have put that up front. We had quite a bit of feedback last year on the short-term marketing initiative awards. And there was a bit of confusion around what exactly those were. So we had a sit down as a team, and we thought to simplify it a lot better would be just to brand it as a campaign award. This campaign is generally a short-term execution of something, so we decided to rebrand it as the marketing campaign awards, but essentially it is the same as the short-term from last year. I'm looking at the questions. Do we actually say what we did? Questions 1 to 4 are all about background problems, challenges, engagement. Question 5 and 6 are about results and learnings. Where do we put the details of our actions? I suppose that the entry forms are all different, so I'm not quite sure if that relates to a specific.
Again, could I just recommend that if you've got some specific questions, send that to Marolina. It's very difficult. I'm sorry, we don't have the entry forms up, and they are different. I would hope that there is a space to put that in. So maybe it's not clear.
Yeah, I think that's I think each question that you answer, you need to be explaining and justifying what you did. So if there was a specific challenge that you faced, identify what that challenge was, and then explain what the marketing strategy or initiative was that helped overcome that specific challenge, or whether it was a specific marketing tool that you used. Just go into detail explaining what you did to overcome that challenge or problem, or specific learnings that you had around that.
Yeah, exactly, David. And that's probably in the outcomes question, where it says list the outcomes.
Yeah.
Sorry, just seeing that.
Yeah. Do you have sample papers from past winners that were well written? Unfortunately, we don't, because of the confidentiality clause that we put into that. But my suggestion would be to go onto the awards website. All the stories of the winners are published on the awards website, and information from those entry forms are taken and put into those stories. So while it's not the complete entry form, it is a summation of the story that they tell. And I suppose that's what Michael was talking about earlier, about telling a story. You'll read the stories, and those great entries are great stories that have been told. So go onto the website, have a look at those, and it'll give you a better idea of what was said in those entry forms. Another one that's coming from Lisa, which entry forms stand out? Do entries often include a PowerPoint or video alongside the entry form?
No, it's not. I'm not judging on brand or look and feel or that type of information. So no.
Yeah. For the marketing campaign awards, you're encouraged to submit if you've got a video reel or something like that speaks to a specific maybe TVC that you did for that specific campaign. Then yes, But generally,
If it helps answer the question.
Yeah, if it does help. But having said that, it needs to help us
support
the
yeah. You have to assume if the judge, it could stand alone, that the judge could still mark your entry without the additional, but that may support it and enhance it. That makes sense.
Another question around pricing. Is there multiple entry pricing? Yes, there is. It's a tiered system. If you go onto the awards website as well as Awards Force, under the frequently asked questions tab on the award site, there is details of that costing and the breakdown there. Another question, with the marketing team of the year, how do you describe that? How do you decide who comes? Is it from the marketing team or the business?
Can you repeat the question?
Sorry, with the marketing team of the year, how do you decide who comes? Is it from the marketing team or the business?
That's a really good question. You have to answer that. But what I will say is that the marketing team is not judged on the performance of that team in terms of delivering great campaign results. It is about the culture. It is about the way the team performs, about its integration and linkage across the business. So we typically find those teams that bring in someone external who can speak to how that team is organized and how they partner and collaborate with the business, provides a very powerful support to telling that story of why that is a team of the year, marketing team of the year.
Another one that's coming, the images we have to submit, what are they used for? So those images are used both on the awards night for the presentation of the winners. So when you're announced, oh, well, congratulations, your marketing campaign or strategy will pop up with a little reel of images, etc., from that marketing strategy or campaign, as well as used in marketing magazine if you're a winner. So those are used there. If there are specific images that you don't wish to be used, you just need to include that on your entry form. When can we book tickets for awards? People are optimistic.
You want to book them early, that's
Yes.
for sure. Good question.
So those will go on sale once finalists are announced, I think. And yes, so only mid-June, I would say.
The finalists are announced
On the 16th of June.
so that's when the tickets goes on sale there.
Yes. Yes. Around about the 16th of June, they'll be on sale. Yes. Can you enter an entry interview form?
Well, the answer is yes, you can. I guess the question is, what is different about that entry? Hopefully, the campaign or the strategy has become bedded in. There's been some tweaks, maybe some different results. There are a lot of judges who judge every year. So a judge will remember your entry if it is exactly the same. And that often has been a discussion that I've had with judges where it appears to be an identical entry, and we will go back and check. So there has to be something that's different. So definitely we recognise, especially in the Excellence Awards, that 12 months on things can change, strategies can be adapted, insights can be incorporated. So yes is the short answer. The long answer is, but there should be a difference and a change in that entry.
Can a campaign enter that is still running? Can a campaign enter that is still running during the call for entry stage? I assume be entered again. Yes, it can. Another one. Who do we need to put in the marketing partners section? So that's anybody that you've worked with to bring your campaign or strategy to market.
Yeah. So that could be your agency, content, SEO, digital, whoever that marketing partner is material. Don't list every single person and contractor. It's the main ones.
Can I edit an entry after submission? No, unfortunately not.
That's great. Review.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it now.
Good questions.
Good. Yeah, great.
Highly engaged group. Well done. Exciting.
Oh, another one's come up. Follow up to the question about where do we put our actions relates to health and beauty and B2B entries. If we put the actions into question 5, outcomes, this gives us 500 words to detail the actions as well as outcomes versus 1,400 words for background context. Is this weighting of importance?
I think it would be, why don't you send through, we've got the question here, if you could send through that to Marilena, and I'm happy to sit down with Marilena, have a discussion, just look at that in a little bit more detail. I don't have the entry form in front of me here, sorry. Really happy to help. Yeah, if you can, in this session, send the contact details, and Marilena will be in touch, and I can help close the loop on that with you. Really keen to help, and it's great. Again, it sounds like many of you, this is your first time contemplating entering, which is really exciting to see. So we're very keen to help you do that.
We'll leave it open for another 10, 15 seconds if anyone's got any final questions to come through. And then even if you do think of something after this presentation, feel free to email the awards team, and we're happy to answer any of the questions that you have in more detail. And obviously today's presentation will be edited and put up onto the awards website, and I think we'll probably email you guys a copy as well, or a link to the presentation, just in case you want to review anything or review the answers that were provided today.
And the email if you want to contact someone here to help is events@marketingassociation.co.nz. events@marketing.org.nz. So I'll repeat that again. If you've got any questions you want to send through, events@marketing.org.nz.
Otherwise, all the details are on the awards website. So just visit the awards website, nzmarketing.co.nz/marketing awards, and you'll be able to get all the details from there.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.